back to you guys.
Right. So Tim can tell you a little bit more about what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, kind of how we manage problems and things like that.
Hi, my name is Tim. So around 90% of the work that I do is based on, it's customer driven. So either we get a phone call or I get an email. If you see any traffic problems out in the city, you feel free to email this email right here, traffic.signals@sanjosecalifornia.gov. We also have a phone line for the public. It's 975-3700 if you want to. Yes.
Make sure you put the dot in between traffic and dot signal.
What's that? 85? Or 05?
Please don't hesitate to send us concerns. You guys can also be the eyes and ears for us as well. It's hard to monitor 2,000 miles of streets and 1,000 signals. It really helps to get things from the public when things are not working as they should.
Oops, sorry.
So one of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis is we work with all of our project managers on construction projects. If you look at this map right here, it kind of shows all the locations where there's a project going on and where there are lane closures or projects that are affecting traffic delays.
So can you point a project out to us? I don't understand your map, I'm sorry.
So if you zoom in, like
So
you
would
see-
you have something right here on North Fifth, because they're, it's been blocked off, just as an
No.
example, or these are major?
It depends on who is doing the project.
So if I click on this purple marking, it shows like it's a development project, San Pedro Streetscape. The contact name is James Brown. I have a contact phone number, and it shows which direction this traffic is impacted.
How does it show which direction the traffic's impacted?
It says location of traffic impact,
Oh.
northbound,
Okay,
southbound.
tells you.
Yeah. So a lot of times I get a phone call, and it's usually someone that's waiting at a traffic signal, and they say,
It never
"Hey, I've
changes."
been sitting here for 5 minutes. Like, what's going on?" So I can show you some of the tools that we use to kind of diagnose what's happening. This is the intersection of Minnesota and Lincoln Avenue. We just did a signal mod there. On this right screen right here, we have 4 cameras, one for each approach. This top left is northbound, bottom left is southbound, and then eastbound and westbound. These cameras are special in that they actually show the video detection zones. So if you see when a car is coming down, you see the blue rectangles that pop up. That's the video detection working. Most of our locations have magnetic loops, and they're actually cut in the ground. Sometimes if you go to the intersection, you can see the cut markings. But in all of the newer intersections or intersections that we have signal modification, we use video detection. If you look on that left screen right there, that's what we call graphics. It shows us a real-time representation of what's happening at the intersection. So right now we see that the southbound and northbound has a green light. Now they have a yellow light, and then now they have a red light. And then we see that the westbound and eastbound left turns have a green light. We can tell if a pedestrian is waiting at the intersection, waiting to cross the crosswalk, by this red hand signal. If someone presses the button, it turns into a white hand, and then when they're allowed to cross, we can see them crossing. If you look at these diamonds, the gray diamonds show that there's no car waiting there. All of these teal diamonds show that there is a car waiting there. So if you look at this eastbound approach, if you look at the eastbound camera, you see that there is a car waiting for the left turn, and then...
They got it red.
Sorry?
It looked like they were waiting, but they got it red now.
Right. So right now the southbound and northbound left turns are going. So the left turns here, and the left turns there.
So do you have the ability to override signals here? I mean, you know, under some kind of emergency or something?
What do you mean by override?
Well, let's say there's a red that you can just make it green.
We
Or-
can't do it live,
Right.
but we can implement changes to say, oh, the next cycle, give this movement 60 seconds of green instead of 30 seconds. But there isn't just a button that will turn it green for this movement and green for that
Or
movement.
slam it red, and I wanna see this, you really lock it up, right?
We do have a button that will turn the intersection into flash and make it flash red for all directions. So if there's some kind of emergency, we can do that easily. But as far as changing greens, we need to do that kind of on a cycle-to-cycle basis.
So if you see your ex coming and you want to get rid of it, it's not gonna happen, right?
We could.
I just have a quick question. So is it true that if you flicker your high beams at the traffic signal light, it'll turn faster?
What?
Not sure.
In most cases, that's not true. If we have video detection here, and if you got the angle just right, possibly you might be able to confuse it and make it think that there's a car there,
Are you talking
but
about
probably not.
emergency flashers on like emergency vehicles that can override the
Well, in general, just to, people are like, oh, flicker your high beams at it
Yeah.
if the light's taking too long.
No, that doesn't do
That's
anything.
not true.
EVP, emergency vehicle preemption, is a different thing that ambulances and do fire. One of them
trucks
doesn't.
All of
Fire
them.
trucks.
They all do.
I think it's ambulances. Fire trucks do for sure.
Okay, fire trucks do. Ambulances might not. I'm not sure. But they have a little sensor where if they flash that, the signal will turn green for just them, and all the
Earlier.
movements will get a red.
But that doesn't use light. I think it uses a radio frequency where there's like a little birdie. If you see on the mass arm, you can see like a little birdie.
because there's a lot of urban myths around this, and there's products sold, get this light or this special thing, and you're gonna, cruise through.
Most of them probably don't work, but it's possible if you got the right frequency, you might be able to do something. But
I did have one other question. So, like in the old days when the had like the loops in the street, the famous like say a guy on a motorcycle drives up and he's not heavy enough to trip that.
Right.
So by going away from that, it eliminates all that because you're looking at motion detection instead of the pressure on the loop or tripping something magnetic.
Right. So there's pros and cons between each one. So the loops, they're actually more durable, but they're prone to damage, like due to paving, they stop working, or there's construction, then they can be cut. But they last longer. When the switch was done to video detection, when that comes out, it's generally less affected by any construction projects. But there's also malfunctions that happen based on time of day. So when the sun comes up or when the sun goes down, sometimes there's false detection, so it acts like there's always a car waiting to be served, and that holds the green light for 30 seconds for however long. Also, there are sometimes shadows that kind of bounce into the lanes where the video detection zones are, and that also holds the green. And then sometimes cars just stop getting detected, and that's when we get a phone call, and it's really urgent because now there's like 50 cars waiting in that lane because they're not getting a green light.
What about bicycles that need to make the left-hand turn? Does it detect bicyclists?
Yes. So video detection, if you see here, there's like the word bike. They
Oh,
also detect bicycle,
see.
bicyclists.
Mhm.
For the loops, that's a different issue, where if they don't have that special loop for the bikes, then we can ask an electrician to go out to adjust the sensitivity, but it's kind of a balance between vehicles and bicyclists, and it just doesn't always work perfectly.
every new intersection where we add or change a signal, we'll put in bike detection. But the old ones that we aren't making changes to, some of them don't. But as we move forward, we're trying to shift as much as possible.
Are you shifting to video as much as possible too and away from the loops? I assume it's a lot cheaper
It
to
is.
install and
It's
maintain.
easier. It's also easier to make changes. Like if there's a problem with the loop, we can't really do anything remotely. But
Right.
the Dual has the ability to change these detection zones on most locations. If we see that a car isn't getting detected, we can shift it over a little bit or make it bigger or more or less
Cool.
sensitive. So
The cost between loops and video is not that much in terms of installation. It's the initial cost is pretty much the same. Video with the newer product, with newer technology, we have the ability to access it from here. We don't have to, for like a loop, we have to call our electrician and dispatch him, and he might be working in one area and he has to finish that job to get there. But if we get a call and we have this one of these new technologies, one of these new softwares out there, one of us can access it from here and we can check it, what's going on. Can we do it? Can we modify it? If not, if it's like a problem that we can't do it, then we talk to our manufacturer and they can remote desktop into our computer. So it's in terms of operations, it's getting easier than the loops and the old technology, because that's only done by electricians, certified electricians, and we can't do it, and we have to dispatch and rely on someone else to do it. So that's like Tim says, there's pro and cons to both of them.
I don't know if this has anything to do with, are the traffic lights as susceptible to wire theft as the street lights are?
We get that fairly often. It generally doesn't affect the signals. It will more often affect our detection. I know on 87 North, the ramp meters have been out for a few weeks because of copper theft. So, and it's probably gonna be a couple more months before they can get that repaired because a lot of copper was stolen. But it is a problem. We're working to fix it.
But you do only surface streets, it sounds like, surface streets, and therefore you said 87 going north.
Right, that's Caltrans. So that was just an
Yeah,
example of
just
a type of signal that is affected by copper theft.
But what about where 87, is it 87? Yeah, 87 on Almaden Expressway, do you manage those lights?
That the ramp meter on the actual ramp would be Caltrans.
Wow.
The signal to turn on to the ramp is probably county.
Oh my goodness.
There's lots of different jurisdictions. It can get complicated. Sometimes we want to control a signal, but the county has more authority, so they take it from us and things like that.
So do you guys interlock with these, with the technology, or or is it simply there?
We try to, and there are times if we're trying to coordinate an entire corridor and it crosses a county expressway, we'll talk to them and see if they're open to kind of letting us talk to their signal, but it doesn't always work out. Generally, the expressways get priority because they're really high volume.
Mhm.
So I noticed how these cameras in the back, they're breaking up. Has that been
Pixel.
an issue at all for the area,
Pixelization.
or is it?
The only issue right now, we're incorporating a new software, and if the two softwares talking to each other, our manufacturers are working on that. That's the only issue that's you're seeing that up there. Yeah, there's the two softwares that were kind of talking to each other, but a lot of times that's not an issue. And that is all downtown. That's around those are the cameras we look at. If we have something going on at Cesar Chavez Park or the SAP Center, yeah, parades, festivals.
Last thing, this is a PTZ camera, so
What's it?
it's a pan tilt zoom.
Oh, yes.
So we can actually.
And where is that camera?
This is at Moore Park in Winchester, and this gives us the ability to, let's say, zoom in at a intersection nearby, adjacent intersection. So it gives us more flexibility. We can turn on to a specific approach if we need to observe it.
Moore Park and Winchester?
Yes.
I can't think of where that is.
By Santana Road.
Oh, Santana.
Or by Winchester
South, yeah.
Street House.
Yes.
Yep.
South of Santana Road, south of the Winchester Street House, yeah.
When you do the pan tilt, does the camera physically move and people can see it?
No, you can't.
You can't do
It's like that.
It's like
You can't
that? Oh,
change
okay, cool. Because that would be a little freaky.
It would.
Is that thing chasing me, Yeah.
And that's all I have. So I think Abdul's going to talk about event management.
Okay. Thank
This is
you.
fascinating.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for this. It's really good to know.
So hi, my name is Abdul. Robert and I were the DM shift, and we usually work special events. We work SAP Center events, Avaya Stadium events. We have downtown around the Cesar Chavez Park, Almaden, usually Santa Clara. We have parades, we have runs. If anything that exceeds 7,500 people, one of us are here. Christmas in the park, for example, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, one of us is here, usually from 5 to 10, even on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, to manage traffic. Another thing is Santana Row during Black Friday, around Christmas time, Christmas shopping, one of us is monitoring it, usually from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., and the later days is usually till 10, since someone is already here. So as I told you, the threshold is 7,500. If there's more than 7,500, and the reason being is because at the SAP Center or Avaya Stadium, when the capacity or the attendance level increases from 7,500, we have more police officers there. When we have police officers at certain intersections, we omit, meaning we block some approaches to emphasize one approach, and we provide signal timing. And we will not omit or cancel a phase out unless we have an officer currently there, because we don't want any liability or any accidents or anything happening. So if an officer is there, I help provide that a signal timing support. Those cameras that are around the SAP Center, we have more cameras, but those are like the ones that are farther away, so we keep it up there so we have an eye on it. And the ones that are closer, I have it on my own monitor so I can change them and constantly monitor. These cameras are around the Avaya Stadium. And if you look at that monitor right there, that's one of the egress. It's the end of the game, and that's Earthquakes and Coleman, where you see there's like two officers right there. And I provide signal timing, but they're there to move people because there's a lot of pedestrians there when first the game is over. So the question came, or do we record or do we not record? Around the Avaya, well, first of all, SAP Center has been there for like 25, 26 years. So over time, we have perfected the timing. We have our plans that we put in, and then sometimes, there's a lane closure, or there's an accident, or like there's a car breaks down. So then we manually change those, but we have the plans that are been perfected over time. Avaya Stadium, this is our second season. So far, we record all the cameras around Avaya for ingress and egress, and then we have a monthly meeting with PD and the Avaya officials and our parking division and myself, and we look at it and we see what went wrong and what we can do better. We constantly try to make it better so the patrons come in quicker and they can leave quicker, so their experience is better. So that's the way that I'm experiencing with Avaya Stadium by working in that process. We have approximately 233 events that we had last year. These were events about 4,000 and above attendance. And out of those, about 60% we manned. Someone was here manning the TMC and traffic operations was done, and those events are 7,500 people or more. So this is, like Tim showed you, this is one of our graphics. This shows me all the signals around directly 1/3 mile around the SAP Center. And I can see live what's going on. Like for instance, if PD, we have a PD right there, and they're saying, they call me, my code name is Signal Central. So they radio in and they're like, Signal Central, why is Delmas not moving? Then I can see these three signals, and I have cameras there, and I can see why. Is it the ramp? Is there a fire truck coming somewhere because it will preempt it? Or I can talk to them, and I can help them the way they want to push traffic. So this is really visual.
So you have your radio in contact with them?
Yes, we have a radio with them. The lieutenants and the sergeants that are the head, they have my personal phone number, my cell phone number, since sometimes we're here, we're not here. And they have our phone number too. But this is a radio. We have this, and we communicate with this mainly. It's been pretty effective.
Can you do anything remotely, or do you have to be here?
No, well, we do it from here. We have remote access to the signals from here. This is our central.
No, what I mean, if let's say in a pinch, say you're home and it's 2 in the morning,
we
you
don't
can't
have
do
access.
anything.
We do have a laptop that we can remote into our central system here, so if we know ahead of time, we can go out in the field and use that to kind of make changes on the fly, but generally we need to have someone here for that.
So did you have security for your software so you don't get hacked because, something you don't know and hear about, and all the signals all of a sudden turn red throughout the city everywhere?
It's not like the movies.
Yeah, it's not like the movies.
We have firewalls, we have security. Sometimes when they update the security and because we're a new facility, sometimes they forget about us and they don't update us and we don't have communication, and then we give them a call. But so talking about security, yeah, we do have security, and we have firewalls that don't let anyone come into if they don't have access.
Is there like a fail-safe process or a fallback thing to the old days? If you lose power here, and there's no way to control to the signals, kind of revert to their old ways of doing things?
The
Or
signals, they have their own brain in the controller, if the cabinet. So the controller is in there. They run by themselves. The communication helps us. For instance,
I see. Okay.
last year there was a Monterey and Kirtner. There was a bike accident. So I contacted PD. PD closed off all approaches. So since we had communication to that area, two of us were able to take each side, and we started making plans to give green on other signals where traffic was diverted, so those don't become gridlocked. So communication in a way helps us because we don't have to go to the controller out there. We can look at, like, you know, like Tim was alluding to those teal diamonds. If we see that that's not becoming gray, we know there's a lot of traffic if we don't have a camera. So if we don't have communication, the signal can go on by its own.
so it might not be as good as with you involved, but at least it functions.
Yes.
Yeah, so again, if you lost everything here, the signal, they go on as they are, with no intervention.
They would carry out their own day to day.
Right.
The only way it helps us, or it's helpful, or it's useful, is when there's an emergency, or in case of Avaya Stadium or SAP Center, where we put in massive egress or ingress plans to take out, like Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, when he came, there were 30,000 people that showed up to the SAP Center. So we had to manage traffic to get those guys in, and we actually got the SAP Center emptied out in about an hour. 30,000 people out on the streets, on the freeways, out of the city. So that's our goal.
Do you know if the city of Santa Clara has a similar system?
Yes, the city of Santa Clara has it, and I believe that it's located in the Levi Stadium. So they have a TMC traffic management center there. Ours, since we have more signals, we have 6 of us and 1 supervisor here from 5 to 8, and we try to man every event that's high attendance. But I think at Levi's, they only do it for the Levi stadiums. Otherwise, they have 1 or 2 traffic engineers that you have to contact.
Because that was a mess when they got started.
Yeah. They're, again, like our Avaya Stadium,
Yeah.
their Levi Stadium, they're perfecting it, and
Sure.
it's over time. We look at our videos. We're like, all right, we have got A, B, C done. Let's try something new. Okay, that didn't work. Next game, like, you know, we over time, like the SAP Center, over time they have gotten it, and like the Shark games are really easy because all the Shark, a lot of them are season ticket holders, and they know which way to come, which way to avoid, and they know the ins and outs, so it's really easy. A concert is different because it's all new crowd, and they might come one way, which everybody, like the GPS guides them that way, but that's all 14,000 people trying to come that way. So it's that it has its ups and downs.
What about the airport?
Airport, I think we don't control them; they're controlled by themselves. Yeah. The airport authorities are in control of that.
Are you tied into the parking supply at all? You know, you talk about sort of non-aware people coming into town for an event and they don't know where to park, and that causes a lot of problems. Could you like steer them through your signals?
We have what they call CMS signs, changeable message signs, and we had them, but they became so old that they were breaking down, and we couldn't find any more parts for them. So we have changed the ones on the street surface. And then again, the issue we're having with this is because we're having those different softwares trying to talk to each other and integrate in here. So yes, we have those changeable message signs. Hopefully by, like, you know, in a year or so, I get access to those. Then I can put up a message saying like, you know, avoid left turn on Santa Clara, if the Santa Clara off ramp to from 87. Avoid left turn, make a right turn. So I can put messages up there, but hopefully I get access to those.
Who controls those now?
Those are in construction right now. Those signs, they're like about 20 years old. So with technology, as always, the old, when they get obsolete, then you can't find parts, and technology wears down, and you need to maintain it. So for that reason, we have to reconstruct the new technology, up to new code, and with new technology. So at the moment, they're in construction phase, and then.
But there are still some that are working. If you go on various freeways, it's like so many minutes to the airport, so many
Freeways are Caltrans. That's a different
Oh,
jurisdiction,
oh,
so
okay.
those are not under us.
Okay.
We only have our street ones. Some of the exit ones, we would have to get encroachment permit and we would have to talk to Caltrans, but those are ours.
Any other questions?
This is awesome.
This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Is there any way we can walk around the station?
So you've been at this physical facility for a year and a half or two,
I believe it was November 2014 when we moved in here. End of November.
but you were running somewhere else.
They had a TMC on 2nd Street and Santa Clara before 2006.
Yeah, it was
When
about
the-
10 years ago.
Yeah, when the new City Hall was built, they were moved from there to the 8th floor because they had this in mind, but they were planning it. And then that was a temporary place, and when this was built, we were moved back here. But we have always had, as I told you, with the Sharks, they've been, from day one, they've been managing traffic for them.
So this is awesome. So because this is part of the employee parking garage, this is all city-owned, and so you won't have to move again. This is your spot, and
Yeah.
whatever improvements, whatever
Yes.
you do, this is nice to have a home, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. The other good thing about this is in the 8th floor, since we were bunched up with all the DOT, when when an emergency happens, we're like kind of talking across, hey, like, Tim, are you looking at 7th and Elma? Hey, Scott, what are you looking at? We're talking out loud. We're not at 8th floor. The thing was, we had cubicles and we had to get up. What are you doing? Because we don't want to disturb our people. So here, our sole purpose, if there's an emergency, we drop everything and everybody just huddles and let's plan out. So it's a good thing we can, we can be loud and we can cooperate while doing our own stuff. We don't have to stop and go over, hey, what are you doing? What he's doing. So that's a good thing here. It's,